I think we are giving it today. Required numbers we have got, 193, 120 something in from the Lok Sabha and the remainder from the Rajya Sabha. So we've got more than enough numbers.
वो SIR बनाने में बहुत गलती किया है और हमसे खराब बर्ताव किया है।
वो करने दीजिए, पहले कितना साइन कर पाते हैं वो देखना पड़ेगा। और तृणमूल कांग्रेस सुप्रीम कोर्ट से लेकर हर जगह दरवाजा खटखटा चुकी है।
With assembly elections due in West Bengal, Assam, Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Puducherry, the Election Commission is set to announce the poll schedule on Sunday. It is learned. The EC, comprising Chief Election Commissioner Gyanesh Kumar and Election Commissioners Sukhbir Singh Sandhu and Vivek Joshi, are scheduled to address a press conference on Sunday at 4 p.m. Elections to the assemblies of Assam, Tamil Nadu, Puducherry, Kerala and West Bengal are due as the terms of the houses expire in May and June. The polls in West Bengal are expected to be held over fewer phases than the 8-phased 2021 polls, according to EC sources.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी हमेशा चुनाव के लिए तैयार रहती है और आज बहुत दिनों से हम लोग तैयारी कर रहे हैं और भारतीय जनता पार्टी सिर्फ चुनाव के समय में तैयारी है। वो फर्स्ट डे से ही जब काम अपना करना चालू कर दी थी और आज बड़ा शुभ दिन है कि आज 5 राज्यों में चुनाव का अनाउंसमेंट करने आ रही है चुनाव आयोग और मुझे लगता है कि हम जीत के लिए तैयार हैं। हमारे कार्यकर्ता मेहनत में, हमारे कार्यकर्ता ग्राउंड पे हैं और मुझे लगता है कि बहुत अच्छा होगा और चुनाव भारतीय जनता पार्टी के पक्ष में होगा।
तो होने वाला है, इलेक्शन का टाइम इलेक्शन होगा, ये तो बहुत बड़ी बात है। इलेक्शन तो होने वाला है, होने दीजिए।
क्या उम्मीद कर रहे हैं इस बार?
इस बार अच्छा रिजल्ट होगा। 5 में तो हम लोग अच्छा रिजल्ट करेंगे, सरकार भी बनाएंगे।
At the same time, a TMC-led opposition motion to impeach the CEC for alleged biased conduct during the SIR was submitted last week in both houses of parliament.
I think we are giving it today. Required numbers we have got, 193, 120 something in from the Lok Sabha and the remainder from the Rajya Sabha. So we've got more than enough numbers.
ये राष्ट्रपति का इच्छा है, हम लोग तो उनको क्लैरिफाई करने चाहते हैं कि पश्चिम बंगाल में ट्राइबल्स के लिए क्या क्या किया राज्य सरकार, तो टाइम नहीं दे रहे हैं। हम फिर मांगे हैं टाइम, देखा जाए।
सर आज सीसी के रिमूवल के लिए भी मोशन आप लोग आगे कर रहे हैं, क्या पॉइंट है और आप कितने कब आप ये सबमिट करने वाले हैं?
आज ही सबमिट करेंगे, फिर स्पीकर बुलाएंगे, देखे जाए।
पॉइंट्स क्या है? आधार क्या है सर, बेस क्या?
पॉइंट्स है कि वो SIR बनाने में बहुत गलती किया है और हमसे खराब बर्ताव किया है, इसको लेके बोल रहे हैं।
हिंदी में कहावत है, खिसियानी बिल्ली खम्बा नोचे। उसी प्रकार से ममता बनर्जी इस समय क्योंकि चुनाव हार रही हैं, इसलिए इस प्रकार के अभियान चला रही हैं।
Yogendra ji, as always, thank you so much for your time. With a new year comes new data, more data, new data, disquieting data about the topic that Yogendra ji has relentlessly written and argued about for almost all of last year, at least half of last year, which is the SIR, the Special Intensive Revision of Electoral Rolls that first started in Bihar and now it is more or less a pan-India exercise happening in a dozen states and union territories. So, Yogendra ji, some very critical and concerning data has come out in the newspapers today. Could you please give us sort of a framework of what that data is and what it implies for India's election system?
Thanks, Saptarshi, and very happy new year to everyone. As you mentioned, I'm sure everyone is bored of my writing on SIR. I've been writing, and I must thank your newspaper for the space that we could write about this unfolding tragedy, I would say, which has just been going on and on and on like a bulldozer. The news that we have today, and this is the headline that the paper uses this morning. So what we have is, after Bihar, we had the second phase of SIR, which was carried out in 12 states and union territories. Today marks the conclusion of all the data being released for all those 12 states. In fact, it's 12 plus 1, because 12 do not include Assam. I'll come back to Assam later. So now, today was the first day for the newspapers, because yesterday evening, the last state whose data was delayed, namely Uttar Pradesh, they also released the data. So now we finally officially have all the 12 states. You would remember, Saptarshi, that about our column before the previous one, 2 weeks ago, in the middle of December, our column was precisely on this, where we had tried to anticipate what the overall deletions would be like. And as you can see, that's exactly what we had said in our piece in the Express. We said about 6.5 crore people are likely to be deleted. And that's exactly the figure that we have in the Indian Express today. Putting together everything, it tells us that we have a deletion of 13%, which amounts to 6 crore 56 lakh people. Just think of it, Saptarshi. 6.6 crore 56 lakh persons who were on the voters list, their names have been dropped. Now, and then this is not the last thing. This is not the final picture, because in addition to these 6.56 crore people, more deletions are expected. This first phase of deletion, first round of deletion has taken place because for these people, enumeration forms did not arrive. And as per the SIR rules, if your enumeration form does not arrive by the deadline, then your name is automatically dropped. You may have been a voter for the last 20 years. That's of no consequence. Your enumeration form didn't come. Your name is dropped. But those whose names have been included in the draft roll, remember, it's only a draft roll. They can also be deleted. And there are two good reasons why they may be so. Number one, those who have filled the form, but who have not given the details of where their parents or they themselves were in 2002 voters list. They are technically, in Election Commission's lingo, they are called unmapped. And we have very large number of unmapped voters in India. I do not have those figures for Uttar Pradesh officially yet. But our sense is that unmapped voters are already about 2.5 crores. These people will not be excluded. They will receive a notice. They will have to prove that they are citizens of India. Assuming that about 10 to 20% of them fail to do so, we are looking at another 50 lakhs or more. Then there is another category which is called logical discrepancies, which is to say, Election Commission has used a software, and the software was inserted right in the middle of the entire process, which identifies logical gaps, rightly so, that the gap between a father and a child's age cannot be less than 15 years, or that a person who has more than 6 progenies who are voters needs to be looked at, and things of that kind. But the numbers that are coming there are huge. In West Bengal alone, logical discrepancies are nearly 1 crore. In Madhya Pradesh, logical discrepancies are more than 2 crores. But this is the level that we are looking at. So what we have got today is just tip of the iceberg. Or let's say what we have today is actually a broad picture. We don't yet have the exact nuanced picture. But one thing that we can say for sure is that we are looking at the largest ever deletion of voters in not just in India, not just in Uttar Pradesh, in the history of humanity. We have never seen this much deletion of votes. The most shocking news is, of course, from Uttar Pradesh, where we learned something very strange yesterday. We learned that Uttar Pradesh, that as many as 2 crore 89 lakh names have been dropped. Compare that to only 65 lakhs in Bihar, which caused such a national ruckus. Uttar Pradesh, 2 crore 89 lakh votes have been dropped, and more is coming. That's the extent of the problem that we are looking at.
So, going ahead with these extremely disturbing numbers, sir, people may argue that, of course, we will see the most deletions from Uttar Pradesh because it is the most populous state in the country. But the data also shows that the proportion of deletions is the highest in Uttar Pradesh, somewhere around 18%, which is followed by Tamil Nadu at around 15%. So what is happening here in Uttar Pradesh? Is it because it is one of India's, I don't know, biggest and difficult to govern states, and therefore, these things just happen? Or is there any answer that, you can intuitively come up with? Because 3 crore, almost 3 crore it's more than the populations of most countries in the world. So.
Absolutely. In fact, I was joking that if these 6.5 crore people who have been excluded in this round alone, and mind you, about 40% of India is still to come, an SIR. If these 6.5 crore were to form a country, they would be among the top 10 democracies of the world. I mean, such is the state number that we are looking at. Okay, so let's look at the common objections and anticipations one by one. One is to say, well, maybe the voters list was inflated. Good that they've been trimmed. How do you assess that? To my mind, the simplest way to check it is to see what was the adult population. After all, that has to be a measure. And that is not done by the Election Commission. That is done by the Government of India's separate technical expert group. So what is the population of Uttar Pradesh? Mind you, when the SIR was beginning, at that point, Uttar Pradesh overall numbers before SIR, and I'm reading from the paper, was 15.4 crore. This is before SIR. After SIR, it's 12.55 crore. So that's the loss of 2.9 crore. But what was the population of UP? That's a good question. What is the adult population of UP? That is 16 crore 6 lakhs. You see what I'm saying? Actually, from 15.4, it should have gone up. Instead, it has come down. And this happened in Bihar too. In Bihar, it should have gone up by 25 lakhs. It went down by 65 lakhs. But UP beats everything. It should have gone up by 60 lakhs. Instead, it has come down by nearly 3 crores. So this argument does not wash that, maybe the voter list was inflated. Second argument is that, okay, maybe it's migration. Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, as we know, are out-migration states. Needless to say, the migration cannot be 3 crore people. But let it be. So the argument is Uttar Pradesh and Bihar are out-migration states. People go out, work, and maybe that is reflected in some senses in the figures that you're looking at. But fortunately, we are also looking at in-migration states. According to, and this is the Niti Aayog classification, this is not my classification. Niti Aayog says Gujarat and Tamil Nadu are in-migration states, states that have more people coming in than going out. What are we looking at in Gujarat and Tamil Nadu? In Tamil Nadu, 97 lakh names have been deleted, next only to Uttar Pradesh. And in Gujarat, 74 lakh names deleted. So deleted everywhere. It has nothing to do with migration. No migration patterns tell you the story. Something is very, very odd. And if this much was not odd enough, allow me to bring one more fact from an earlier article that I wrote. Something very strange has happened in Uttar Pradesh. I gave you one way of checking, which was the adult population. Fortunately and funnily, we have a third way of checking as well. Because in the same year, in 2025, Uttar Pradesh has seen another parallel exercise at mapping the electorate of Uttar Pradesh, which has been done by the State Election Commission of Uttar Pradesh, which is a constitutional body. And most of our viewers, readers may not know that in India, the voter list for assembly and parliament has nothing to do with the voter list for the panchayat and assemblies. So they were compiling the voter list for panchayat and municipalities. So the two constitutional bodies are trying to count the same people in the same year in two parallel exercises. What's the outcome? According to the Election Commission of India, there are 12.4 crore eligible voters in Uttar Pradesh. How many of them are rural? How many of them are in panchayats? The Election Commission of India does not officially give you the figure, but if you apply that 24% of urban cutoff for that, you are roughly looking at 9.5 crore people in the Election Commission's. I'm counting only the rural because that is what the State Election Commission of Uttar Pradesh has counted, because they are doing it for panchayat. They have counted all the rural voters of Uttar Pradesh, and they have released the list last month. It's a draft list. The number is 12 crore 70 lakhs. Now just take it in. One constitutional body says there are about 9.5 crore people in rural, 9.5 adult eligible voters in rural Uttar Pradesh. Another constitutional body, having done an exercise over 6 months, this was an extensive revision. After that, they say there are 12.7 crores. I mean, this is a joke. What's happening here? How can this be? So you're asking me for an explanation. My honest answer is I have no explanation. Something is very, very odd here. My only explanation could be because the figures given by the State Election Commission are much closer to the population figures. And the figures given by the Election Commission of India are way off. Not just off, they're way off. So my only possible explanation is that SIR contains a design defect. It is not a mechanism for revision of votes. It's a mechanism of indiscriminate deletion of votes, which is what's happening everywhere that we see. Tell me, how is it that in every single state of India, we have deletions? I mean, where are people migrating? Are they going to the US? I mean, what's happening here? They could go from Bihar to some other place. But why is it that all the 12 states have seen it? Incidentally, may I mention that there is one exception to that? The exception is the only state which did not use the SIR method, which is Assam. For reasons which we don't need to get into right now, in Assam, the Election Commission said, no enumeration forms are needed. You don't need to match yourself to a voter list 20 years ago. Someone will come to your house. Physical verification will take place. Those who are not there would be deleted. New names will be added. And the net result is Assam is the only state in India with 0% deletions. So clearly the problem is SIR.
It seems all too naked now. Like there is nothing the EC can really hide behind, especially after this Assam example. But sir, just for the clarification of the viewers and the readers, can I just push you on something? The panchayat sort of counting of voters, their requirements in terms of forms or verification to conclude that somebody is an eligible voter, is that very different from the SIR, or is it only slightly different?
No, the eligibility is same. Eligibility is same. You have to be an adult citizen of India. That's the same eligibility.
But the criterion to assess that,
the procedure followed is very different. No, in panchayat, and mind you, the State Election Commission did this exercise over 6 months. They started it in July, issued detailed guidelines. It was physical verification conducted by BLOs, who I presume would be the same BLOs who work for the Election Commission of India as well. So physical verification, go to every home, check. If someone is not there, delete their name. New people add their names. And incidentally, this was not a flimsy exercise. The State Election Commission of UP deleted as many as 1.4 crore names. But they also added 1.8 crore names, which is what happens in a normal revision. You delete names, you add names. What is odd about the SIR is that there is only deletion and no addition, despite the fact that in SIR2, now there is a formal provision. The BLO is required to carry a Form 6, BLO is required to add your name if necessary. But the additions are virtually nil, negligible in every state. I've looked at the data from some states. The additions are negligible in every state. So SIR carries a design defect. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Got it, sir. And now I think we should move on to the content, the very specific content of your column from this week, where you really zeroed in on a very important political constituency. Everybody has started calling it after multiple elections in the past few months, the woman voter constituency. And for those who have not read the piece, you can please check it out online. It went out online Tuesday morning, and it was in the paper on Tuesday, where Yogendra Yadav ji and Rahul Shastri have argued that SIR 2.0 especially is not just mass disenfranchisement of people, but specifically it also harms the woman voter by deleting them. So Yogendra sir, thoda data, if you can present us again, what your calculations and analysis, how badly is the woman voter constituency being impacted vis-a-vis deletions?
Absolutely. I'm glad you bring that in, because the pattern that I mentioned nationally, which is to say all over the country, wherever SIR happens, you have deletions. Similarly, wherever SIR happens, the gender ratio drops down. Now, that's an important thing to understand. I'm not saying women are being deleted. Of course, someone would say, yes, women are being deleted. Men are also being deleted. So what? That's not the point I'm making. I'm saying the proportion between men and women is turning more unfavorable to women wherever SIR happens. This is typically captured in what is called the gender ratio. What's the gender ratio? For every 1,000 men, how many women do you have? That's basically gender ratio calculation. Now, all over the country, we have seen in every single state. So let's say if you have, if there is a state where there are 48% women and 52% men, and 100 votes are deleted. If 52 men are deleted and 48 women are deleted, that's all right, that's proportionate. But if in that state 55 women are deleted and 45 men are deleted, that's strange, that's odd, that's disproportionate. And I'm saying this is exactly what has happened in every single state. Again, the exception being Assam. Assam was the only state where gender ratio actually improved after SR. In every single state, the gender ratio has become unfavorable. Incidentally, this particular round has two states in India where gender ratio is one of the best in the country, namely Kerala and Tamil Nadu. In both those states, you have more women than men on the voters list. Even in these two states, after the post SIR, the ratio has lowered down. In some cases by 2 or 3 points, but in significant cases like Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, I don't have the data for Uttar Pradesh. Because that was not released yesterday. So I'm still in dark about the male-female ratio of Uttar Pradesh. I'm reasonably sure that we'll see the same pattern because it's a design defect. Wherever you carry this, it will happen. So we calculated the number of missing women, which is to say, if the deletions of SIR were proportionate, if there's a 52-48 and the deletions are also 52-48, then there's no additional deletions. But if it is more than proportionate, then we calculated the number of persons who would have been deleted. And that works out to 23 lakh women. Just to make it clear, if SIR deletions followed the same proportion in each state as existed before the SIR list, it would have led to X number of deletions of women. But because SIR has a design defect, it has led to additional deletion of 23 lakh women voters. Now, this is shocking, and I'm waiting for the results from Uttar Pradesh. I'm sure Uttar Pradesh would end up adding another 20, 25 to that, but that's a guesswork. Don't take it seriously. 23 lakhs have already been deleted. Now, so once the article went out, people started giving me gyan on social media as it happens. And it's a lovely democratic exercise. Everyone has an opinion. They say, don't you know that Indian women get married? Don't you know that Indian women shift their house? Of course, sir, I happen to know it. I live in this country. But that's the whole point. The point is what's happening. And that's the point we made in the article. What's happening is this, that SIR is ending up deleting the names of women from their marital home, from their parent maternal home, which is all right. It should happen. But it is not leading to a corresponding addition of their name in the house that they went to. Now, so therefore, the point that because SIR is not meant to be merely an exercise in deletion of votes, it is now officially an exercise of deletion and addition. So at the end of it, if the gender ratio drops, you don't need any more data. Gender ratio has dropped. The only possible argument that someone can make is, don't worry, in the additions, it will be overcome. In the revisions that take place now in the coming month or so, things would be all right. Now we have the example from Bihar, and we know that this does not happen. Typically, what's happening in SIR is in Uttar Pradesh, for example, you have in Tamil Nadu, you have 97 lakh deletions. Finally, at the end of it, 97 might become 92. It might become 85. But basically, deletions will stay. Because very few people make the effort of going, have the resources, have the ability, have the knowledge to go and actually get it corrected. So once you use the sword, you've cut out names. Few of them will crawl back, but that would be an exception. Similarly, the gender ratio disadvantage that has happened will stay. Very few women will now come back. The numbers could be in a few thousand, maybe in a few lakhs, depending on which state we're talking about. But this drop in gender ratio will stay. And that's one of the most dangerous things because, one of the things Indian democracy can take pride in is that over the years, women's share in voter list has improved consistently. Their turnout has improved consistently. This, in a sense, reverses that. This is structural. I'm not saying BJP is into a conspiracy to somehow delete women's vote. As far as I know, BJP currently has better share of vote among women than among men. So it can't possibly be into a conspiracy of that kind. And that's the point I've made again and again. SIR has a design structural defect. Wherever you take SIR, it would lead to greater exclusions than inclusions. It would lead to greater exclusion of all the disadvantaged groups. We don't have official data on migrants. We don't have official data on Muslims. But as and when the data comes out, or some researcher brings out, you will find out that these are the people who suffered. All over the world, when the onus is transferred on the people, it's the most disadvantaged groups who actually suffer and who are excluded. This is what we have already seen. This is what is likely to happen. So it's a structural exclusion of all the disadvantaged groups. In the case of women, in the case of Indian women specifically, it has a built-in discrimination mechanism against that. Because after marriage you have shifted your home. We would make sure that your name is deleted from the original home, but putting your name back is your responsibility. And second, in order to ensure to fill your enumeration form, now think of a man and a woman in the same family. What does the man have to do? The man will have to simply show. So suppose you have a couple, both of them are, say, 25-year-old. Both of them were not voters in 2002. The man has to demonstrate that his father or someone in his family was on the voters list in 2002. What does he have to do? Nothing specially, because they live in the same village. He has to go to the same BLO and say, "Yaar, 2002 ka jara dekh do, kar do, ho jayega." What does the woman have to do? She has to now prove that her parents, she cannot give the data for her in-laws. That's not acceptable. She has to prove that her parents, who may live in a different village, obviously, who may live in a different district, who may live in a different state. And I'm speaking of ordinary rural people. Mind you, people marry across states. She has to bring that document. Now, some of them will be able to. But the moment you raise documentary burden, obviously the most disadvantaged people drop out. This is exactly what is happening. And this is one of the most disappointing and painful features of SIR. And I'm truly shocked that even after this data has come out again and again, no one has done anything about it. Election Commission's own manual has very detailed guidelines on how to ensure that the gender ratio is corrected. And here you have gender ratio being imbalanced in front of your eyes and you do nothing.
I think even after the Bihar exercise, if this is the road we are going on with dozens of states and a pan-India SIR, then I guess the last question, Yogendraji, because we are also almost out of time. How to combat this? How does civil society combat this? Does civil society go to court again and just repeat the same process? Because based on your analysis and articles and what we're seeing, nothing seems to have changed. So where do we go from here?
Did you notice this little thing that I have here?
No, sir.
SIR. No, sir. This is from the convention that we had organized on the 20th of December, where we had some of the former judges of the Supreme Court listening to testimony from all over the country. Poor people had come, Adivasis had come, saying, "This is what SIR is doing to me." So yes, what we are witnessing is one of the worst things that has happened to Indian democracy. We had reached at least this is one thing we could take for granted. Everyone has a vote. You like, you dislike, but everyone has a vote. That elementary thing is being compromised now. So yes, the Supreme Court case is going on. Sadly, the Supreme Court has not given any judgment. Yesterday, Election Commission has finally started responding. So I suspect the process will go on further. When the case in the Supreme Court began, we thought that before Bihar, before completion of SIR in Bihar, we would have a clear order. That did not happen. Then we thought before Bihar election, we would have a clear order. That did not happen. Then we thought before it's taken to any other state in India, we would have an order. That did not happen. Mind you, the commission has not given an order against it either. So right now, the case is going on. But the fact is that all this is happening on the ground. And sometimes a non-judgment can become a judgment. It becomes an order. So in the last instance, I think the damage is being done. So in the last instance, the responsibility is on the people, on civil society, on political parties to make people more conscious about what is happening and bring this evidence in the public domain, because in the last instance, the republic is saved by the public.
On that feisty, resisting note, we will have to end our conversation. Longer than usual conversation today with Yogendra Yadavji, given that with the new year and this new data, new challenges lie ahead, both new and old. Yogendraji, thank you so much as always. We will look forward to your next column, and we will wait, with bated breath, the next rounds of data and draft rolls, and I'm sure we will have you back to zero in on those and analyze them granularly. But until then, thank you to our viewers. Please keep watching out for Deshkal and like, share and subscribe. Thank you very much.